There is a way to treat your back that actually works. On this video, I will show you 3 movements that you should do right now to get a better feeling and better functioning back. It's not only one thing that you must do for your back, it's actually 4 things. The big problem is that usually only the symptoms are treated and not the actual causes. And many times one cause is noted and treated, but we need these all 4 things. We need stability and control. We need active mobility. We need integration exercises, which integrate your whole body. So it's not just your spine, it's your arms and legs also. And we need some strength. So we need all 4 in the right order. Control first, mobility second, integrations, and then strengthening. My name is Jukka from Anatomy Functional Training. And for the last 15 years, I've been helping people to get better functioning back. It's all started when I got my own back into such a bad shape that I needed to do everything different. In my 20s, I already had a stiff back, aches and pains. I was really strong, deadlifted over 500 pounds. But a few years after, when I was 26, I had a bulge so bad that I could not move anymore. I could not put my own socks on. So I learned everything there is to learn about the back. And that is the way this started. And I put together this integrated program. On this video, I will show you 3 movements and how they actually should be done. So this is not passive stretching. No, this is active work. So we are using our muscles to give support for our spine. So if the spine does not get support, it will collapse and we will get those bulges. And if we don't have the mobility to move around safely, it will again cause problems. So we need those 2 things, stability and mobility. We need to do active work with control and training the mobility of our fascia. So we are actually training our brain and our fascia, our nervous system. So we are, of course, working the muscles, but we don't work them passively. So this is the way that the movements should be doing. And in these 3 movements, I will also tell you the anatomy behind them, so you will understand that what we are actually doing. Okay, the first movement, it's about hip flexion. So when we walk, of course, the hip does some flexion. And if there is tightness in the back, and if we don't have control of this movement pattern, then every step will pull our back with it. And of course, that puts pressure on the back. It tightens it. And so what should we do? Well, maybe stretch the hamstrings. Well, yeah, but see, if we do stretch like this, I'm putting my back in the very position that doesn't serve me. So this is really wrong. And at the same time, we don't build any control. We don't build any stability. So it's just passive movement in anatomically wrong position. So we need to do different kind of things here. So it looks pretty similar, but it's very different. So first thing we need to understand that we are teaching the brain to guide this movement pattern so that our spine is not under pressure. So the first thing we do here is actually actively work our back. So I'm like pushing my tailbone up. So building a neutral spine by actively using my back. So I have the hip in flexion, my knee is soft, and then I'm using my back muscles actively to put my back in a neutral position where I would want it when my hip is in flexion. You with me so far? Okay, so we are not stretching our hamstring. No, we are actually training our back to be in the right position when the hip is flexed. And of course, that puts some mobility challenges to the back of the leg, and that's a good thing. Okay, so that's number 1 thing. Number 2 is that we are not static here. So I can do a couple of different things. First one is that I'm gonna just release and then go again. So using my back, go into the position and see that I keep the neutral back, and I will do this active movement. So gliding the fascia and actively, dynamically working my muscles to contract and relax. Second thing you can add is rotation, really good for your spine. So you can actually go into the position and then start control rotation. So this is active stability and mobility work put together. And of course, you will do it for both legs. You can do like 10 reps, and you can choose them. You can start with this and then do this and start with that and see how it feels. Because if you don't get that control and mobility in the back of your leg, they will start pulling your hips forward and your upper body will compensate and you will have problems in your neck. And of course, you will have problems in your lower back if you don't have the capability, the control and mobility to actually use your femur in a way it should be. Okay, so that is one way of fixing that. And the second thing is, of course, the opposite. So if your hips get tightened, so for example, if you sit a lot and your hip is in flexion, so the soft tissues here in front will get used to this position. And now when you try to extend, it won't extend because it's so tight here. So of course we need to loosen up here. But now what most people do wrong is that when we have this and then we try to come up, what happens? We compensate from our lower back to bring this part closer to our thigh. So we will actually put pressure on our lower back. So this is the problem. When we have tightness in the front of the body, we will compensate by arching the back, putting pressure on the back. And again, if we walk and bring the leg back and we don't have the mobility and the control of our spine here, every step and actually even standing up will put pressure on our spine. And many times standing up won't do it, but when we take a step, it puts the pressure here. Okay, so what we need to do, again, build the control, the ability to extend our leg without hurting our back. And of course, that needs some mobility here. So many people do hip stretches like this. Look at my spine. It's in the very wrong position. We are actually doing the opposite of health. We are putting more arch in the back. Okay, so you need to take the step back. But the point here now is to actively use your glutes and your abs to work and bring the spine into neutral position. So I have my hip in extension and I'm actively working my abs and my glutes to give support. So when we did hamstrings, we actively worked with the back of our body. And now we bring the hip in extension, so the leg is behind me. So I will work with my abs and I will also work with my glutes. So those muscles actively support the position of my spine. And then I will also challenge my front line to have the mobility. Okay, so that's the active part and the anatomy of it. And then we, of course, add the active movement, the dynamic movement. So again, it's the same thing. I can step back and then bring my hips forward, pulling my stomach, squeezing my glute, and then coming back and do it. Just do it. It takes about 2 seconds and you come back. So you're teaching the same thing that happens in walking. So it's active, relax, and control all the time. And you can, of course, do it with the rotation. So I'm building the position of my hips and spine. I have my active glute and my active abs, and then I start controlled rotation. So I can do 10 of these. Of course, to the both sides. And if you find asymmetries that, okay, this part, oh, I feel it, this I don't feel, it's good. Then you have to train more the tighter side because otherwise you're crooked. Okay, so that's the second thing. And now the third thing is active movement for your spine muscles. So for this movement, you need to come to the floor. And this is also like learning to read. So it's not about how high you can go or how hard you can go. It's can you connect your brain to the right muscles? So we are trying to actively use our back muscles without using our glutes and hamstrings. Because many times when our back muscles don't work, they don't have the ability to contract and relax. We will use our legs to do the work. So our back can just stay tight. Okay, so the movement looks like this. And it's simple, looks simple, but the main thing is that you feel your hamstrings and glutes and you don't work them. So you may need to do only half an inch or less of a movement. Because for many people, the first thing that when we think about lifting our chest, the hamstrings and glutes will contract. So it's the learning of not contracting them. So we are forcing our back muscles actually to work, and we need to relax after every rep because it's teaching our body to contract and relax, okay? Like this. So that's the start. So it's really easy. And you can do it like much lower than I did. And it's not about how high you can go. So really concentrate on the feeling. So this is like a mindfulness exercise. So you are lifting your chest, but at the same time you are relaxing your legs. So this is one way, again, of teaching your brain to guide your body and your nervous system to work. So these are 3 movements that you should try and start with. But of course, having a whole body functioning, we need a progressive program and plan. And that's why I built functional back training, that you have everything in one place. So click the link below, look at the training, and hopefully you come to train with me. And if you don't get results, if your back does not get better, then I will give all of your money back. So I guarantee that this will work.